Hello students, welcome to Banik Smart Class. So this Odisha Civil Service examination, the preliminary result is going to be published very soon, and the main examination will be conducted by the OPSC in a span of hardly 2 to 3 months. The main syllabus is a very long one with compulsory paper, qualifying paper, optionals, essay, and comprising total 2600 marks. In this, general studies is of 600 marks and in 2 papers. In the 600 marks, paper 1 and paper 2, in paper 2 there is a section called International Affairs and Institutions. Let us start from that. Myself Pramod Padi, head of Banik IS Academy. Right now we will discuss about the importance of international institutions, and to start with United Nations. You all know OPSC main examination being a written examination. So here you are to write the answer in your long hand in different word limits. OPSC has set different word limits for different questions, and in this particular section called International Affairs Institutions, around 50 marks questions are asked, in which the answer you have to write in around 125 words to 150 words, and the question carried 10 marks. And the very first international institutions is the United Nations. Coming to this, so United Nations is the successor of the League of Nations. This is the passion of man, the longing of man for peace. The League of Nations was created after the First World War, but it was not able to check the Second World War, which started. While the Second World War going on, then some world leaders think how to create another successor which will be more proactive and which will be able to maintain peace. That led to so many conferences, starting from the Dumbarton Oaks to the San Francisco Conference. The United Nations it was established with a hope to create an international organization which will lead mankind towards peace, ensure security. United Nations, it was created as the successor of the League of Nations. The world leaders met at the San Francisco Conference, which was held from April to June in 1945, and there the UN Charter was signed, and it came into being on 24th October 1945 once the Charter was ratified by the signing parties. So 24th October is the founding day of United Nations, which is celebrated around the world each year as the UN Day. Its headquarters in New York in USA, and it has 6 official languages like Arabic, Chinese, English, Spanish, French and Russian. Coming to the objectives of the organization, so like each organization has some objective to achieve. United Nations has some objective. So the Article 1 of UN Charter specifically mention about the objective for which this international body was created. The very first one was maintain international peace and security, because United Nations predecessor, the League of Nations, failed to maintain international peace. That led to the outbreak of the Second World War. That's why the very first objective of this organization was to maintain international peace and security. And second, to develop friendly relations among the nations. If the nations are able to maintain friendship among themselves, so the issue of war, the chances of war is totally overruled. So that's why the second thing in the objective is to develop friendly relations among the nations, to cooperate in solving international economic, social, cultural and humanitarian problems. You see, humankind faces problems like economic issue, because when the world body was created, the world economy is a very small one. Still, so many countries are there who have just overcome from their colonial rule. So that's why economy was a very big issue. So the very important point in this objective is to maintain or to resolve the international economic issues, social issue like the social tensions, cultural and humanitarian problems, then to be a center of harmonizing the actions of nations in attaining these common ends and more specific goals. Because when they thought of this organization, the world leaders were not very clear about the future, what is going to be the situation in coming times, because very few nations are there. Many nations have just emerged from their colonial background. They are the colonies of masters. So many things have to be achieved. So they have clearly mentioned that the common aims and more specific goals. Then comes promoting democracy, development and human rights. You see, democracy is a very popular term then, because the colonies were under colonial rule. There is some monarchy, there is some dictatorship, but democracy was the passion among country when the organization was created. So promoting democracy around the world. As you know, democracy is what? For the people, of the people, by the people. So democracy and development. So development is the most important issue, because human being need development unlike other creatures on earth. And human rights. You see, being human being, we have some inherited rights, like right to life, right to liberty, right to property. So these have to be ensured. And United Nations have the objective to ensure that these three things, democracy, development and human rights, are ensured. Then comes protecting environment. You see, the vision of these then statements. So during that period, environment of the world, 1945, was very clean. Still they thought in future environment is going to be affected. So they have a clause in that, protecting environment. They know development will take place and development will definitely affect environment. So what we right now think of sustainable development was in their mind when they chuck down the objective of the organization. So environment, preventing nuclear proliferation. You know, the most important aspect of Second World War was the use of nuclear weapons. For the first time in human history, during the Second World War, the nuclear weapon, atomic bomb, was used by USA and Japan, and that created havoc around the world, killing so many people, and that led to think how to check the spread of this nuclear weapons. So that called preventing nuclear proliferation. Proliferation means spread of nuclear weapons. That was also an objective. Promoting self-determination. What is self-determination? So many nations were there who were under colonial rule. So once colonialism will end, because the organization Second World War is over, that was the time of end of colonialism. So they will think of self-determination. Let they start their own rule. That's called self-determination. Promoting countries under colonial rule to think of self-determination to start their own rule. Then comes, that means, so they will go for independence, strengthening international law. You know, for the first time under United Nations, they codified some international law. Although laws are there before that, but here comes in a more formal way. So that's what, so strengthening it. Once the international law were strengthened and they are implemented properly, obeyed by the people because they are aware, so the issue of war, conflict, etc. will be nowhere there. That's why one of the major objective of the organization was to strengthen the international law. So this is what are the objective. The entire objective has been mentioned in Article 1. Every organization has some principles. The principles of United Nations were set in Article 2 of the UN Charter. So it mentioned UN is based on the sovereign equality principle. That means, so country must be sovereign. That means independent. Sovereignty is a political concept. Sovereignty has two dimensions, as you all know. One is internal sovereignty. That means the agency must not have anyone above it inside the country, and external means there must be no other one externally which will dominate it. So that means sovereign equality of all its members. So member nation of United Nations must be sovereign, that means must be independent, and at the UN forum they should be treated equally at the UN forum. Then all members should fulfill in good faith their charter obligations. Who have signed the charter? The members themselves. So once we sign the charter, it became our obligation to fulfill it, to obey it, because it's not imposed on us by someone else, rather we have ourselves signed this charter. So that means the charter, what we have signed, the principles there, it must be followed by us. Then comes to settle the disputes by peaceful means without endangering peace, security and justice. Disputes have to be there. When more than one nation exists in the world, disputes should be the boundary dispute, political dispute, trade disputes will be definitely there. So any dispute there should be resolved through what? In a peaceful means, using peaceful methods, negotiation, discussions, deliberation. Then comes which will not endanger international peace, security and the world justice system. Then comes that refrain in their international relation from the threat or use of force against other state. Force, when it is used, when a country feel I am powerful, I will use force to put the other one down, or another feel I am being threatened, so let me use my force first. In both way, this ensure that the country should not use force or threat the other one that I will use force on you. That is the principle. Then come, they are to give United Nations every assistance to any action it takes in accordance with the charter and shall not assist state here means countries, against which the United Nations is taking preventive or enforcement action. If the United Nations take some action on any bullish nation, all other countries, member countries especially, must support it as the principle. Then comes, United Nations shall ensure the state which are not members act in accordance with these principles insofar as is necessary for maintaining international peace and security. Even if a country is not a member, but international peace is a longing for all. Although it is not a member, so it expects member other countries, non-member countries, to ensure that they will also follow the principle which will not threaten or endanger international peace. Nothing in the charter so authorize the United Nations to intervene in matters which are essentially within the domestic jurisdiction of any country. Any organization functions through some organs like human body. We have a head, two hands, two legs. So many organs through which this body functions. Similarly, United Nations so function through some major organs. We have major organs, we have minor organs. Similarly, here we are discussing about the major organs of the United Nations. United Nations has 6 principal or major organs. To start with, General Assembly. You see, member countries initially 51, right now 193. So they all are represented in the General Assembly. So this comprises all the members, and this body is used for as a deliberative forum. You see, this General Assembly has a meeting, annual meeting, which is held normally in the month of September, and there is no specific date. There is a peculiar day, that is the 3rd Tuesday in September is used as the particular fixed date to start the even General Assembly annual session. Normally, the annual sessions are attended by the head of the state or head of the government or the delegates, and the major issue facing the world are discussed there, and the entire global community see how they interact, how they represent, and what issue they raise at the United Nations Forum. So this is a deliberative forum, and below it is the Security Council. It's not the below the other organ. That means the General Assembly is the legislative body, and the Security Council is the action wing, like the cabinet. So it comprises of 15 members. But here there is 2 different types of membership. There are 5 permanent members called the P5. Who are the 5 permanents? USA, USSR, presently Russia, then United Kingdom, then France, then China. These are the 5 permanent members, and what is their advantage? They enjoy the veto power. We will discuss veto power subsequently, but that means 5 permanent members and 10 non-permanent members. The non-permanent members are elected by the General Assembly for a 2-year term, representing geographical specifications from different regions of the world. They are represented. That means from Asia, Africa, Latin America, the entire globe is represented through their regional nations in the non-permanent category, who are elected by the General Assembly for a 2-year term, but they don't have any veto power. That means the Security Council is a 15-member body in which 5 are permanent, enjoying veto power, 10 are non-permanent, elected for a 2-year term by the General Assembly. India has been a member for so many times. Okay, then the 3rd organ is the Economic and Social Council. Okay, it is a 54-member body, one of the largest representing among the organs. So they are elected for a 3-year term, and 1/3 members retire each year. And what is the major issue of this? What it takes up? So it deliberates on international cooperation, economic and social issues. The Security Council looks after peace and security. The Economic Social Council, popularly known as ECOSOC, looks after the economic issue and the social issue. The two major issues then. The entire issue facing the global community can be broadly divided into economic aspect and social aspect. And this Economic Social Council looks after those two domains broadly, but in detail the entire humanitarian activities, the entire other aspect of United Nations beyond peace and security is looked after by the Economic and Social Council, where 54 members are there. They are elected by the General Assembly and Security Council for a 3-year term with 1/3 members retiring each year. Then comes the Trusteeship Council. So here there is something very peculiar. So what is the Trusteeship Council? You see, Second World War, the post-Second World War period, so that witnessed end of colonialism. So hundreds of nations in Asia, Africa and Latin America, they became independent, and some of them expressed their inability to govern themselves because they don't have any experience like India. So they decided we cannot do ourselves, and they cannot be pushed again to colonial era. That led United Nations to create the Trusteeship Council, which in fact will manage them as trust territory and inculcate the habit of governance or teach them governance, and once they learn it, it will be completely handed over to them. That led to the creation of Trusteeship Council, and the trust territories were kept under the United Nations under the supervision of the Trusteeship Council to groom them for the ultimate self-governance. And it is called, this agency or this council became defunct or inactive since 1994 once the last trust territory, Palau, became fully independent in 1994. So this, the Trusteeship Council is no more active in the even organs. Then comes the International Court of Justice. You see, justice, why it is required? When injustice is done to someone, they need for justice. That led to conflict, burden, so many international law, disputes are to be there. So that led to creation of a judicial wing called as the International Court of Justice, ICJ. But the peculiarity is, this is located outside the UN headquarters. So this is located at the Hague in Netherlands, the ICJ, the International Court. Okay, we have 15 judges who are elected by the General Assembly and Security Council on a 9-year term to take up the disputes among the members once they brought it before it. So only member countries can bring the disputes before the ICJ. ICJ deliberate on it, but the peculiarity is the decision of the ICJ is not legally binding on the member countries. Although they are not legally binding, but it is morally binding because it is backed by the international public opinion of 193 countries. So no country can dare to face or reject the decision of the ICJ, because although it is not legally binding upon it, but morally binding. Why not legally binding? There is a fact. Why it is not legally binding? It is not legally binding because the countries are sovereign. If something is legally binding on them from the international sphere, their sovereignty is affected. That's why here it comes, the decisions are not legally binding but morally binding, and almost most of the decisions are obeyed by the countries. Then comes the Secretariat. The Secretariat assists the entire system in secretarial work. The Secretariat headed by the Secretary General. He led a team of international bureaucrats. So at the UN headquarters, the Secretariat is located and the Secretary General is the boss. So he heads it, and with a team of international bureaucrats, he provides assistance to each and every organs and coordinate the activities and represent United Nations around the world. So Secretary General is elected by the General Assembly and the Security Council for a 5-year term. students, like the major organs, the United Nations has some other important agencies, affiliates, funds and programs. You see, United Nations was created with the objective of maintaining peace and security. This is the very prime one. But apart from that, it has a lot of other things which have been added to its sphere. So at present, no part of human life remain untouched by United Nations. From birth till death, United Nations is there on the side of human being, the entire civilization. So that means multifarious bodies are there in United Nations, so which takes care of different aspect of the human being. To start with, the present coronavirus, global threat, pandemic, lakhs of died, millions suffering, not a single country is spared. Look, who looks after it? WHO, World Health Organization. So the global watchdog on health, so vaccine research, issuing guidelines which masks to be used, 2 layer, 3 layer. What are the guidelines? Hand washing, using hand wash, using sanitizers, using mask. So all these who takes care of and developing vaccines, the research goes on. So that World Health Organization created in 1948, headquartered Geneva. Similarly, UNICEF, United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund. Who are the future of human being? Children. So entire development starting from his birth, so is taken care of by this UN agency called United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, UNICEF, created in 1946 with headquarters in New York. ILO, International Labour Organization, right now you must be seeing in the television. So movement of labours from one state to the other, from one country to the other. Labour were used in manufacturing, in agriculture. So they are to be looked after by somebody, and this is the international body of UNO called the International Labour Organization, which promote and protect the interests of the labours. That's called ILO, headquartered in Geneva, created in 1946. Then UNHCR, that means United Nations High Commissioner for Refugee. Who are the refugees? Refugees are the persons who left their country due to threat of life. So you must be seeing the Rohingya refugee who left Myanmar because they are threatened there. They came to Bangladesh, some of them came to India. So there is an international body called the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugee, which looks after the interests of the refugee, how they are to be given humanitarian treatment. So it looks after. So created in 1950, headquartered in Geneva. Then there is another one, UNHRC, United Nations Human Rights Council. You know, we have discussed during United Nations principles or the objective of United Nations, protecting human rights. So there must be an agency in United Nations which will promote or protect human rights. This is Human Rights Council. It was earlier High Commissioner, it is the Human Rights Commission, changed to Human Rights Council in 2006, headquartered in Geneva. Then is WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization. Intellectual property. So that means right now each country want to promote its intellectual property because they become tradable. So there is an agency of United Nations which was created in 1967, headquartered at Geneva, so which looks after the promotion of intellectual property. Then comes FAO, Food and Agricultural Organization. Basic requirement, food. We all work for food to fulfill our stomach. So there is countries which are facing acute food scarcity, and their country who have plenty of food grains. So this agency, World Food and Agriculture Organization, looks after ensuring so no one in the world remain in starvation. So this was created in 1945 with headquarter at Rome. Then there is IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency. You see, Second World War, big issue, atomic energy. For the first time, nuclear bomb, atom bomb was used, and that create havoc in human mind. That led to creation of organization or an agency in United Nations which will ensure that, or which will look after, no country misuse the nuclear technology for destructive purposes. IAEA is called the nuclear watchdog of the world. It ensures these nuclear weapons and the weapon technology remain confined to specific country, so with whom it watch and not spread to other countries. But use of nuclear energy or nuclear power for peaceful purposes, power generation, in the health care, in other aspects are promoted, assisted also by the IAEA, headquartered at Vienna, created in 1957, which is called as the nuclear watchdog of the world. Then comes World Food Program. Again, this is program launched by United Nations to ensure the food grains are made available to the needy people around the world. It was created in 1961 with headquarters in Rome. UNIDO, United Nations, so Industrial Development Organization. Industrial development started in the post Second World War period in a more faster way, and this agency look after how this industrial development will take place, and it was created in 1966 with headquarters at Vienna. UNDP, United Nations Development Program. You see, development, so is a trend right now, and it was well realized in the year 1965 at United Nations Forum, when they decided let start a program called the United Nations Development Program, which will look after launching programs for development. You see, the most important achievement of UNDP is the publication of the Human Development Index, which is known as popularly as SDI index, which rank country in relation to their achievements in human development. So that education or literacy level, their longevity and their income. So these are the aspects on which the UNDP publishes the Human Development Index each year. This is UNDP. Then World Meteorological Organization, meteorology. Then they also realize there must be an agency or the United Nations organization which will monitor the meteorological development and apply the member countries regarding the upcoming issues. So this is meteorological organization created in 1950 with headquarters Geneva. So then comes IMO, International Maritime Organization. You see, so maritime organization, that means uses sea routes. So that is used, then also used for carrying goods and persons around the world. And there are lots of sea, and United Nations agency known as the International Maritime Organization frame the rules, implement them, and in case of a disputes, it try to bring the countries to ensure that they follow the maritime law or the law of the sea. This was created in the year 1948 with headquarters in London. Then even women, a very peculiar body, because you see there is no other agency linked to a particular gender called women, but here United Nations has an agency called the UN Women. There is no such, even men is not there, but there is an agency called UN Women which was created much later in the year 2010 to look after the interest of women and promote them, like women empowerment in India. So because they are a section who are lagging behind, so an UN agency was created realizing this, let prepare specific program, chalk out agenda for the development. This is looked after by the UN Women, created in 2010 with headquarters at New York. The specific UN agency, so created by a different agreement called the Bretton Woods Conference of 1944, which came into being in 1945, are called the World Bank and the IMF. The World Bank and the IMF are created to manage the economic or financial aspect of the global community. Why two? Because they have two different mandates. First come to the World Bank and the World Bank Group. World Bank has a group of 5 institutions. So consisting of the IBRD, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. As its name specifies, this is the financial institution which will help country in reconstruction and development. For what? Second World War witnessed massive destruction around the world. So this agency was created to provide finance, arrange the fund for the reconstruction and development of the economy, the infrastructure affected by or damaged by the Second World War. So this is IBRD, the other name of World Bank. Then comes International Finance Corporation. This provides loans to countries who are in need of finance. Then comes IDA, International Development Association. This is the poor man's or poor countries helping agency. Then comes MIGA, Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. What is invested? Capital from a foreign country in another country. So when a country invite capital and the country coming with capital must have security of the investment or guarantee over its investment. This World Bank agency provides guarantee against political instability or political insurance. It is political risk. So not economic risk, because capital invested, economic risk is associated with it. No country can guarantee it. But in case of any political risk, regime change, so in that case MIGA provide guarantee to the investment to the investing country. Then comes ICSID, International Center for Settlement of International Disputes. In case of like the political issue in the financial world also, monetary world also, there is also issue of disputes. So this agency called the International Center for Settlement of International Disputes, so looks after settling the disputes emerging out of global financial situations, so among the member countries. So this is the World Bank and the World Bank Group. World Bank provides developmental loans, low interest loans, interest free loans, special assistance, and also provides insurance coverage and settlement mechanism in the group to the member countries and non-members also. Not only its finance is available to the members, but non-member of this World Bank are also eligible to get funding from the World Bank. This agency was created to provide fund for development, infrastructure, for industry, for creating even ecology, all these aspects. Then coming to IMF, International Monetary Fund. This was created as a Bretton Woods twins. And why two agency? One look after providing long-term loan for development. Second one, the IMF or International Monetary Fund was created to provide fund, especially foreign exchange, to meet the member countries' balance of payment crisis. Because you see, international trade flows on international currency. So country import something, country export something. In case a country import more than it export, so it is a due to make the payment, but it don't have the money for it. Which is accepted? International currency. It cannot give its domestic currency. So as it is to settle the amount in international currency, it must arrange it, which it might have received from its own export or other sources, but it has a scarcity of that. In that situation, what will happen? The country, if it is a member of IMF, it may get a loan from IMF and settle it. So IMF was created as a Bretton Woods twins to maintain international financial stability by providing loans and policy advice to solve BOP problems, balance of payment problems, and promote international monetary cooperation. IMF provides what? As per the mandates, providing loans, policy advice to solve BOP crisis or BOP problems and promote international monetary cooperation. So as I have discussed, so the BOP crisis, the settlements of the due on imports in case the country faces scarcity of the foreign exchange reserve, and also it promote international monetary cooperation. So each country should cooperate the other one member country of IMF through IMF in solving this issue. You see, there is a peculiar issue or peculiar channel at IMF called the SDR facility, special drawing rights, which is called the paper gold. So this mechanism authorize the member countries to borrow a specific amount to pay back on its due to the other countries, and once the situation improves, it can return it to the IMF. So IMF has the mandate to provide foreign exchange to the member countries to settle their international due, so their crisis in balance of payment is somehow resolved, and World Bank provides long-term loan for development. So these are the two major financial institutions in the World Bank group and the IMF. Coming to, so overall in this session we have discussed the United Nations, its objectives, its principles, the major organs and why they are created, and the other agency and the programs. In the next session we will discuss about the burning issue, the challenges faced by the United Nations and the need for reforms.